Don't take my word for it. Look that mess up, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King
An
Chaka.
educated and united public cannot be controlled. Get organized.
Learn to be active.
Yeah.
Looks like we got us another hit. Yep.
Choose your destiny.
You can go left, or you can go right. You can go forward, but never ever back.
Investigate both sides of the argument, come up with your own conclusions.
Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh lame, lame.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whacked and are not necessarily the views of anyone. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Podemos ayudarnos más? Sí se puede. Don't take my word for it. Look that mess up, please, for your own benefit. Yeah. Unspoken Beliefs, name of the show today. It's going to be part 2 of the show we did earlier. Unspoken beliefs. It's kind of like the idea of you have predetermined views on certain topics, prejudices, if you will. And a lot of these are subconscious, and you don't really know that you have them. Like, it's kind of like telling a person that something that they did or said or the way they view something is that they're racist. They're like, oh, I'm not racist. Like, I'm absolutely not racist. I have plenty of black friends. And it's like, you try to explain to them and they really just, their brain doesn't click. And it's because they're not gonna go down that road mentally. So like I say, unspoken beliefs, like stuff that you don't ever really say out loud. Kind of like earlier when I was talking about what just makes sense, that it just makes sense that the most accredited or the person who has the most credentials, the person that is the most qualified for the job just so happened to be a white man. But anyways, let's jump back into it because I was in the middle of talking about the aid to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan that Congress just passed. Let's play a clip. I need to move this. It's going to mess me up. We don't need this screen. Let's play a clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes. I don't always agree with this lady. Some of her stuff she says, she sounds bat crap crazy. But sometimes the stuff she says makes a whole lot of sense. And it's stuff that people are scared to say. And I commend her for that.
But this is the sellout of America today. When we had members of Congress in there waving the Ukrainian flag on the United States House of Representatives floor, while we're doing nothing to secure our border, I think every American in this country should be furious. Who's going to vote for these people? How can you vote for these people? They don't serve our country.
What does President Trump make of this?
Are you going to bring it up to Trump?
President Trump watches the news. I'm sure he knows what's going on.
Why is this fight against Russia not worth it? Ma'am, why is the fight against Russia not worth it?
But this is the sellout of America today. When we had members of Congress in there waving.
They're trying to get her with a got you moment when they're asking her, why is the fight against Russia not worth it? We're not talking about that per se. We're talking about taking care of America first, you know, and funding a war that's freaking not going to be successful, basically pouring water in a broken bucket. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, from the beginning, what is the benefit to the United States people? And we're just constantly spending money on this, you know? And she said the American people should be furious. Yes, they should be furious. I'm furious. This is ridiculous. You know, months, it was held up in Congress for months. And now they're going to tie it to funding to Israel so they can get that funding to Ukraine, you know. Knowing that the majority of the American people are not feeling that. Sky News posted this. It says Republican Major Taylor Greene furious after the U.S. House of Representatives approved sending $60.8 billion in foreign aid to Ukraine. So this leaves out the part that, you know, it's also aid to Israel and Taiwan. There's also sanctions on Iran tied in this particular bill. Let's read some comments. It says, I'm confused. Is she from the Kremlin? She got to be from the Kremlin because she's not with American taxpayer dollars being wasted on a futile war against Russia. She's a Kremlin puppet as a result. Tell me you're brainwashed without telling me you're brainwashed. Another says she's a Russian agent. She would say this. Oh my God. Like, okay. There's so many Russian agents in the United States Congress. Like, the United States Congress is full of Russian agents. Out of all of the people that's in Congress, MTG would be one of the last ones that I would begin to even possibly entertain that. As much as I don't agree with her, I don't think she's a Russian agent, okay? And she's right on point with this comment, I would say. Another comment, it says, I'm furious too. We have a lot of problems in this country not being taken care of. Why would spend billions of tax money to them and not securing our borders first? Well, the part about the borders, I don't know if I completely agree with that part, but I still agree with this comment. We got plenty of stuff going on over here that should take precedent on the Ukraine war. So MGT is not crazy for having this stance on this. Another comment says, she is 100% right. U.S. is starting World War III by supporting Israel and Ukraine. Another one says, furious reaction from someone who was repeating Russian talking points. She's repeating Russian talking points by saying America first. Where is your brain? Where is your freaking, how does that connect? Another one, it says, she so badly wants chaos and violence, it's scary. She wants chaos and violence by not wanting to fund war. She so badly wants chaos and violence, it's scary. By not approving funds for war. Where is your logic? Another comment says she needs to go. She needs to go because she doesn't approve of money to Ukraine. You love Ukraine so much, don't you guys? Another one says, wasting taxpayer money. This just prolongs death and no peace. Ukraine has already lost. I saw there's a story that came out that said, Ukraine is losing the war. Like, I think it was the New York Times. Like, the funding is what's keeping it going. It's not good for anybody. More people die. Another comment says, for once, I agree with Marge. I agree with this comment. Don't normally agree with her, but here I do. And that's one of the parts about this show that I try to focus on. It's like, regardless of how you feel about a personality, when they're speaking truth to power, you should support that. If they're not on your team, so you're going to disagree with them and say that they're crazy all the time. Like, they don't never have anything to say that you agree with because they're on the other team or whatever. And this partisan politics has got us in a state where we're regressing as a society. We're totally regressing. We're going back to the past. We're getting dumber. We're inefficient. We're not accomplishing anything, and it's crazy. So, it's like I was asking someone, can you think of any policies that the Democrats or, Biden has done that were good? Nope, they can't think of anything because they're on the other side. Can you think of anything that Trump has done that was good or whatever? They're on the other side. They're like, nope, can't think of anything. Don't agree with him on anything. So, like, you're turning your brain off when you do that. And that's what they want because they win. They get to accomplish what they want to do while the American people are just repeating talking points that they heard from somewhere. Not using their brain at all. Let's see. Do we have another one on the bill? And I want to go back to the Columbia University or the California deal too. Here it is right here. Let's do this.
In this vote, the ayes are 311 and the nays are 112. The bill is passed. Oh, one voting present. I missed it, but thank you. Okay. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. The chair would remind my colleagues to observe proper decorum. Flag waving on the floor is not appropriate. The House will be in order. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida rise? I said, no. The gentlewoman from Florida.
Stand up.
Okay. The gentlewoman is not recognized. Colleagues, no, I'm going to.
Well, there we are. The vote has passed. It has been a very, very long time, many days since the American people, through their politicians, voted for a bill to allow for more weapons to be sent to Ukraine, for Ukraine to continue that fight against Russia's illegal invasion many, many months ago now. And this, once it has been signed by the president, which will happen early next week, will mean that American factories can be put into use again, can build more weapons to be sent to Ukraine. Stockpiles can be released as well. American stockpiles, American weapons can be shipped over, flown as well over to eastern Poland, and from there they can be trucked across to the battlefield of eastern Ukraine. A very, very important moment for the people of Ukraine, and I imagine we will hear at some point this afternoon from the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and I'm sure too there will be a statement from President Biden, who, of course, remember, has called for this all along. It hasn't been a hold-up that he has created. It's been a hold-up here on Capitol Hill, a hold-up because of a Trumpian wing of the Republican Party, who, as I've said, have been questioning the point of a faraway war. They have said, that the focus should be on domestic politics, on crime, on the southern border with Mexico, and not on a war that they question what it has to do with Americans. Well, a majority of politicians here disagree with that view. They believe that this is America's fight as well. The hold-up, the logjam has been freed. The vote has now passed.
Yeah, well, I don't think that those representatives are representing their constituents in this particular vote. I really don't at all. You know, but you know who they are representing? The military industrial complex. See, that's the part of this that I think a lot of people don't really understand. The money, it's not going to go to Ukraine. A lot of the money isn't going to go to Ukraine. It's going to go to the military industrial complex. American companies, the money's going to go directly to them. And then, you know, they're going to send stuff over there to Ukraine or whatever, bullets or whatever it is. And so, but the money is going to go to those companies, the military industrial complex. So who does have like a stranglehold on Congress, you know, what they get what they want over what the American people want. And it's funny how these stories focusing on the Ukraine part of this, because there's also money to Israel in this. And I think the money to Israel is what helped this pass, because the Ukraine funding had been held up in Congress for the longest time, and they had standalone bills. So this time they bundled it up for an aid bill. And so they wanted to pass the funding for Israel because of the power of AIPAC, and they didn't want to look anti-Semitic. So then, you know, Ukraine gets to get it too. You know, they get to ride that train. It says the U.S. House of Representatives has approved $60.8 billion in foreign aid to Ukraine. Democrats and Republicans joined together after months of deadlock over renewed American support to help Ukraine fend off Russia's invasion. They're still singing the same ass song. First comment, it says Zelensky can buy a bigger house now. It says Tupac, they got money for wars but can't feed the poor. 30 years later and nothing's changed. Another comment, it says homeless vets in the U.S. say right now. They're like, screw those vets. Ukraine needs stuff. A comment, it says treason. Another one, it says stop funding war advocates for peace between two countries and use the money to cancel student loans, get people off the street, and build affordable housing for low-income families. Like, regardless of which, like, you might not agree with the student loans or whatever, affordable housing, whatever. Any initiative for American people, in my view, would supersede this. Whatever way you want to spend the money, as long as it was to help Americans, would be a better move than giving freebies to the American, the military industrial complex. Meanwhile, they send cans and rotten food to Gaza and fund a genocide and killed 35,000 civilians and children. What a world we live in. Somebody was here. Where'd they go? I think I'm gonna jump around. I really wanted to go back to the protest deal. Let's play a little bit of this.
My name is Soph. I am with Jewish Voice for Peace at Columbia, and I am here today because I will not stand by while thousands and thousands of people are dying because of our tax dollars in this country, as Columbia's money is going towards a genocide. The money that should be funding our education is going to the bombs that are dropping on Gaza right now. Columbia is a majority share. It has massive amounts of shares in various organizations like Lockheed Martin that are supplying Israel with bombs right now, and we will no longer be complicit. In a campus like this that is filled with repression, that is every day we wake up and the administration tries to silence us more and more, we are here to say the more you try to silence us, the louder we will be. We will not be complicit. We will stand in solidarity because we know that we keep us safe, and there is no liberation except for collective liberation. The obvious and main demand is divestment from apartheid. Columbia is not even fiscally transparent. Unlike many universities, they do not even publish the companies that they are invested in. And through our research, we are highly aware of a multitude of companies that they're investing as I mentioned, that are funding genocide and apartheid. We're calling for an academic boycott of Israel, which includes the Tel Aviv Global Center that Columbia is trying to build. We're calling for an end to student repression, student disciplinary action. We want to take back our campus because this should be a place for us. We're here to teach the world, to teach everyone around us the things that Columbia refuses to teach us and the things that Columbia refuses to do on its own campus. And frankly, every time we move, every time there's an action, every time there's a rally, Columbia just hits back stronger and stronger. And what that says to me is that they're scared of us. They know that the youth on this campus, as they have historically, are the voice of reason, are the voice of truth. And Columbia loves to talk about 68, they love to talk about 85, and they neglect to mention that just in those times, as they are now, the administration disciplined students, they harass students, they did nothing to protect the students who were protesting. Columbia has a long legacy of student activism, of student protest, and just as long a history of student repression and student discipline. There are dozens upon dozens of us that stand and say, not in our name. We refuse to be complicit in genocide. We refuse to believe that Israel is in any part related to our Judaism. In fact, our Jewish values inform why we're here, why we're standing in here. Jewish values of tikkun olam, of love, of appreciation, of respect, of mutual liberation. And so as Jews, we are here to say that we will always support the liberation of Palestine because that is what historically Jews have done. We have stood up for other oppressed peoples because we know that there can be no freedom until we are all free.
Really strong words. Jewish voice for peace. And, you know, the way the narrative is, you know, propagated is that the Jewish people are a monolith and they have a certain particular view. And what really kills me about that is how these people can speak for those other people without even listening to their voice and try to like advocate for them. You know, it's kind of like that liberalism deal where they're like, they can't speak for themselves, so we got to speak for them and we got to look out for them and their best interests or whatever. And these people don't even agree with what they are saying and doing or whatever. And it's like one of the picket signs said, you know, Zionism is not Judaism. You know, it's conflated, just like the view of the Jewish people is supposed to coincide or be the same as the Israeli people, you know, and it's just not the case, you know, depending. And, you know, a lot of the Israeli people aren't even really, they're secular, you know, they're not very religious at all. So it's like, I don't know, the conflation. And then the stuff related to the ethnicity, like, how did we get to the point where a religion becomes an ethnicity? I don't know how we got here. Let me see. You know, people don't respect what the freaking students are saying. There's a professor that Democracy Now! Interviewed, and she said she made some really good points. Let me see if I can find this clip. and the way that they grilled that lady in Congress, the one who was the Columbia University president, so disrespectful, you know, like the way they were talking to her, like, oh man, it made me cringe, the whole thing. Like, I don't know if y'all saw any of
This
that
is
stuff.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.
The president of Columbia University was grilled at a congressional hearing Wednesday about allegations of anti-Semitism on campus. In nearly 4 hours of grueling testimony before the Republican-led Committee on Education and the Workforce, Minouche Shafik said she'd taken serious action against the accusations, including dismissing or removing 5 faculty members from the classroom in recent months for comments related to Israel's assault on Gaza, as well as suspending 15 students and 2 student groups, Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voice for Peace. Shafik's visit to Capitol Hill came after a December hearing that led to the resignations of the presidents of Harvard University and the University of Pennsylvania.
In the run-up to the congressional hearing, a group of Jewish faculty at Columbia and Barnard penned an open letter addressed to President Shafik, expressing their concerns about, quote, the false narratives that frame these proceedings to entrap witnesses, and labeling the hearings a, quote, new McCarthyism.
New McCarthyism.
During yesterday's testimony, Lisa McClain, the Republican Congress member from Michigan, questioned Shafik over a number of pro-Palestinian slogans, including from the river to the sea.
Listen to this.
My question to you, are mobs shouting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, or long live the infantata? Are those anti-Semitic comments?
When I hear those terms, I find them very upsetting. And I have heard...
That's a great answer to a question I didn't ask, so let me repeat the question.
Rude.
When mobs or people are shouting from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, or long live the infantata, are those anti-Semitic statements? Yes or no? It's not how you feel, it's...
I hear them as such. Some people don't. We have sent
So is
a
that
clear
yes?
message.
So is that yes?
We have sent a clear message to our
I'm
community.
not asking about the message. Is that fall under definition of anti-Semitic behavior? Yes or no? Why is that so tough?
Because it's a difficult issue because
I realize it's a
people
difficult
hear it
issue,
as anti-Semitic.
but here's
other
the
people do
problem.
not.
Let the lady speak. Like, I hate the disrespect, and it's a complicated issue. It's not so simple and cut and dry and black and white. You know, it's really not. And these people are academic folks. Like, they overthink everything. And then these Congress people, like, I don't know, they feel like they're smarter than everybody. Like, this lady is a doctor. Like, she went to school forever. Like, she knows a lot of stuff. Like, you're smarter than her, though, because you're a senator.
Is when people can't answer a simple question.
Simple question.
And they have a definition, but then they can't, well, I'm not really sure if that qualifies.
So
I'm asking a simple question. Maybe I should ask your task force. Does that qualify as anti-Semitic behavior, those statements? Yes or no? Yes. Okay.
This guy is like, man, I'm not going to fight with this lady. Like, I'm going to just give her the answer. You know, if they put me up there, I would just answer the way that they want so that we can all get home sooner. Like, they already have their they're trying to get your gotcha moments and their sound bites or whatever. They already have their perspective already. They have their agenda that they're trying to, you know, make things look a certain way or whatever. So, you know, hey, just let them have that. And let's go home early. Like, we can talk about it later.
Later in the hearing, Republican Georgia Congressmember Rick Allen brought up the Bible in his questioning of Shafik. He cited the Old and New Testament and asked Shafik wanted Columbia University to be cursed by God.
Oh, my God.
Are you familiar with Genesis 12:3?
Probably not as well as you are, Congressman.
Well, it's pretty clear. It was the covenant that God made with Abraham.
Okay.
And that covenant was real clear. If you bless Israel, I will bless you. If you curse Israel, I will curse you. And then in the New Testament, it was confirmed that all nations would be blessed through you. So you do not know about that.
I have heard that. Now that you've explained
Okay.
it, yes, I
So
have heard that
it's
before.
now familiar. Do you consider that a serious issue? I mean, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God?
Oh my
Or the
God.
Bible?
Definitely not.
Okay. Well, that's good.
She answered that one straightforward, like, hey, I'm not going there with you, buddy. Yeah, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God of the Bible? Like, oh my God, you're a Satanist, devil worshiper, or whatever. Like, man, the gall of these people, like, and then the conflation of the present day Israeli people being the Israelites from the Bible is a stretch. Like, the tribes of Israel, lost tribes or whatever, like, and these Israeli people, they're direct descendants of those folks. So, you know how I feel if you watch the show about the Bible, whatever, like, I mean, like, it's not really a historical document. I mean, it has some historical stuff in it, but oh my God, like, I don't know, like, the academic part of this is not present. Okay. It's not.
Much of the questioning on Wednesday focused on Columbia's handling of faculty. New York Republican Congressmember Elise Stefanik led the charge. She grilled the president about her testimony on both the protests at Columbia and about Professor Joseph Massad, a professor of modern Arab politics who chairs an academic review committee.
And Dr. Shafiq, you realize that at some of these events, the slurs and the chants have been F the Jews, death to Jews, F Israel, no safe place, death to the Zionist state, Jews out. You don't think those are anti-Jewish?
Completely anti-Jewish, completely unacceptable.
So you changed your testimony on that issue as well? So there have been anti-Jewish protests.
See, she's conflating, the protest is an anti-Jewish protest because of some of the chants that some people were saying or whatever. That's not necessarily true, but you want to simplify things and get people in these gotcha moments and these sound bites to further your political narrative or whatever. Probably because you're getting checks from Israel lobby.
I didn't get to finish my sentence. So what I was going to say was there were protests that were called that.
That's not what you were asked. You were asked, were there any anti-Jewish protests? And you said no.
So the protest was not labeled as an anti-Jewish protest.
I'm not asking what it was labeled.
Anti-Israeli government policy.
The question wasn't what it was labeled.
But anti-Semitic incidents happened, or anti-Semitic things were said. So I just
it is an anti-Jewish protest. You agree with that? You change your testimony?
No, it's like trying to make her sound like she's stupid and she's a damn doctor is so freaking like annoying to me. And it's like, no, they were anti-war protests where some comments were made that could be viewed as anti-Jewish. And basically that's what she was trying to say, but the lady didn't even give her a chance to say it. Like,
Congresswoman, anti-Jewish things were said at protests, yes.
Thank you for changing your testimony.
She didn't change her testimony, and you are calling it something that is not. You are creating this narrative. You are saying that it's an anti-Jewish protest when it's not, based on something that someone said at the protest. Like, that's not fair. That's not, and it's not factual.
Another instance when you changed your testimony is you stated that Professor Massad was no longer chair. Then you stated he's under investigation. He is still chair on the website. So has he been terminated as chair?
Congresswoman, I want to confirm the facts before getting back to you.
I know you confirmed that he was under investigation.
Yes, I can confirm that.
Did you confirm he was still the chair?
I need to confirm that with you.
Well, let me ask you this. Will you make the commitment to remove him as chair?
I think that would be, I think I would, yes.
So there she gave in and just gave her the answers that she wanted there. When it was like later in the broadcast, they were explaining that she doesn't even really have the power to do that. It would take like a board or whatever to come to that conclusion. She would not be the person to pull the trigger on, you know, terminating someone alone.
In a statement emailed to Democracy Now!, Professor Joseph Massad said Republicans had, quote, fabricated statements about him and that it was, quote, news to him that he was under investigation. He said no one had spoken to him about his chairmanship of the committee in question. For more, we're joined by two guests. Nara Milanic is a professor of history at Barnard College, part of Columbia University, who co-wrote an open letter to President Shafik titled "Jewish Faculty Reject the Weaponization of Anti-Semitism." Professor Milanic is a member of the American Association of University Professors, or AAUP. And Professor Rebecca Jordan-Young is also with us, professor in the Department of Women's, Gender, and Sexuality Studies at Barnard College at Columbia. She's a member of the Columbia chapter of the American Association of University Professors. She's also a member of the Faculty and Staff for Justice in Palestine. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Professor Rebecca Jordan-Young, let's begin with you. Your response to these hearings yesterday.
My response is, well, first, let me just thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. It's so important. My first response is that what happened at those hearings yesterday should be of grave concern to everybody, regardless of their feelings on Palestine, regardless of their politics. What happened yesterday was a demonstration of the growing and intensifying attack on liberal education writ large.
Yes.
So there was an opportunity yesterday for President Shafik to come forward to mount a robust defense of the university as a unique site for a debate of difficult ideas, for the fact that slogans can't be reduced to sound bites, that in fact, that what happens at the university is deep discussion, deep thought, and that in fact, instead, what we got was a live performance of her not just throwing protesters and specific professors under the bus, which we somewhat anticipated, as awful as that was, but in fact throwing the entire university system under the bus, throwing out established policies and procedures of the university, throwing out rules that have been established by the American Association of University Professors for decades as best practices. Actually announcing unilateral decisions on faculty members on live television, which she doesn't actually have the authority under the university to do. And I could say more, but really I was astonished. It went worse even than any of us had expected.
Yeah, so she's pointing out, you know, and these people aren't saints, if you will. You know, I didn't like the way that the Congress people were treating her, and it was really rude or whatever. But, you know, these people aren't very used to being questioned. You know, there's a barrier between them and the rest of like the university, if you will. Like getting in contact with these people is basically impossible. Even if you're like a student, even if you're like a faculty member, it's really difficult to even have conversations with these folks. You know, they're not used to being questioned. They're like above everybody else. They're like the elite or whatever, and like their decisions aren't to be questioned or whatever. Like these people are, you know, I'm trying to find the right words. Like a lot of these people aren't very nice, basically, you know, and it's a lot of bureaucracy related to these colleges and universities. The way things have developed, you know, they're a business first, and as far as what they're trying to accomplish, educating folks or whatever, is second to the business side of things. So, you know, and these people, they get promoted and get into these positions because they think that way. As far as like a business person, they could easily go and work for I don't know, Tesla or Amazon or Apple or something, and basically be doing the same job, when you would think that it would be different being the president of a university. It should be, it's a thing that's good for the community. It's good for research, it's good for academics, it's good for moving the conversations forward, and disseminating information and stuff like that. But that's not really the primary role of the universities nowadays. And those folks that take up these positions like president of a university, they know what their job is, and they know that, like, the students do not come first or whatever. The academics do not come first. The community engagement does not come first.
So, Professor Nara Milanish, if you could also respond, what most struck you about the hearing, and what Professor Young just said, that the debate, rather than it being a debate about difficult questions, it became extremely narrow, and Columbia President Shafiq seemed to capitulate almost entirely, as Professor Young said, through the entire university apparatus under the bus. If you could respond to that, what was your sense?
So my sense, one of the things that I learned is that congressional hearings are kind of like social media, which is to say they are wonderful places for political performance, for political theater, for sound bites, for gotcha moments, for interrupting one another. They are really terrible spaces to have deep debates about serious and contentious issues. And academic freedom is one of those issues. What goes on campus and what is happening on campus right now is one of those issues. Where my freedom to speak ends and your right to be free of harassment begins, those are really difficult questions.
Yeah.
And a congressional hearing, Twitter are not the places to be litigating these issues. The place to be talking about these issues is on college campuses, in classrooms, in university quads, in dorm room hallways, right? Universities are precisely the place where we should be having these deep and difficult conversations. And instead, we have seen time and again that university administrators are ceding this conversation to people who have very different motives, right? And who are engaging on these issues for very, very different reasons.
And if you could talk, Professor Young, about the establishment of this congressional committee to begin with, and what we saw happening in December, which led to the resignation of two of the presidents of the top universities in the US.
Yeah, so it's definitely an attack on academia. And I've been saying this on the show, and the guys are like, oh, what are you talking about? It's an attack on academics across the board, from university level all the way down to the elementary level, with the book bannings, with the DEI, with the stuff about critical race theory, all of this stuff where they're using like cultural blood libel, witch hunts to basically, you got the voucher thing that Abbott is so adamant about. It's breaking apart and making it really difficult to just educate the children. And they're like, think about the children. Would someone think about the children? But the results of this stuff that they're doing has a negative impact on the children. They are so concerned about the children and what books are in the library or whatever, but they don't want the kids to have free lunch, stuff like that. Like, the kid having lunch is going to have a great impact on his learning, his well-being, his life outside of school, because a lot of these kids don't get a good meal after school. So, like, the priorities aren't there. From what they're doing, it doesn't look like they really care about the children. They really just care about their agendas, their point of view, and what they want to accomplish. And they're using the children as a scapegoat. They're using the children as a weapon to accomplish their political goals. And people are falling for it.
Well, I think it's been clear from the very beginning that this task force, that this committee was actually never about anti-Semitism. This was about a broad attack on liberal education. And, you know, we have many people on this committee who've never before expressed any concern about anti-Semitism. And what we saw was that anti-Semitism, or the a particular interpretation of that, a very precise, very politically aligned interpretation of that, has been procedurally split off from discussion about all other forms of harassment, discrimination, violence, etc. And this is really contrary to what we do in the university. Certainly, it's contrary to what we do in my field, where broadly, this has been created and used as an opportunity to attack all forms of liberatory critical scholarship. It's been a place where critical race studies have gotten attacked. It's attacking DEI. And throughout, unfortunately, the university presidents who've been questioned, and yesterday President Shafik among them, and the rest of the members of the Columbia leadership, played along with this willingness to split these groups apart. But it's absolutely against what we do both in scholarship and justice activism. We try to help students understand the intertwined nature of systems of power and oppression and discrimination.
So if you could say in the past.
So basically, they're weaponizing anti-Semitism. You know, it's the new McCarthyism, you know, where you have this moral outrage that they're using to justify, you know, what they're doing, when they're, you know, in a lot of cases, it's making anti-Semitism doesn't really have a meaning anymore, because they throw in everything in this pot. And in a lot of cases, it's not that at all, you know, using it to silence voices, you know, to disenfranchise people, to embarrass people, to scare them, you know, fill them full of fear, you know, for their career, for their futures. You know, they have to be careful about what they say, you know, and walk on eggshells, because they could be labeled an anti-Semite just for saying they don't like war or something along those lines.
How has Columbia University, in other instances of harassment for other reasons, how has Columbia University dealt with those complaints?
Wait, I want to get to the Ilhan Omar clip here.
Way aligned with understanding the mission and the history of the university as a site for deep and principled disagreements.
I wanted to go to Democratic Congressmember Ilhan Omar, one of only 2 Muslim Congress members questioning Columbia President Shafik.
Have you seen anti-Muslim protests on campus?
I have seen, we have had pro-Israeli demonstrations on campus.
No.
But
just
not
a protest that was against Muslims.
No, I have
you
not
seen one against Arabs?
No, I have not.
Have you seen one against Palestinians?
No, I have not.
Have you seen one against Jewish people? Have you seen a protest saying we are against Jewish people?
No, I have seen,
okay, thank you for that clarification. There has been a rise in targeting and harassment against anti-war protesters, because it's been pro-war and anti-war protesters is what it seems like, correct?
Correct. There has been.
Thank you.
So basically, that's what it is. The protests were anti-war protests, and then they wanted to make them into something else, you know. And that's basically what's happening here, is how they conflate and they create a narrative to say that these people are anti-Semitic or they're anti-Jewish or whatever, because they are participating in anti-war protests. And that's where I say a lot of this looks like Vietnam in a lot of ways, and the way that that situation played out, and the McCarthyism situation, anti-communism or whatever. It's the same it's the same playbook. I'm gonna move on from this because I don't want to bore y'all, but the lady made some good comments related to her being Jewish, and it's like, y'all trying to speak for me? Did I play that part? I'm gonna just move on. I don't want to bore y'all with this. Let me see. What else did I want to get to? I did that. Let's just go down the list. Oh, let's do the guy who set himself on fire. Let's do this one. Am I sharing? Yes. Let's play this. Where's the volume? Hold on, y'all. What's happening?
Revolution, you've got nothing to lose. Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. You've got nothing to lose.
Except for your life, your job, your family, your respect. It says the man who lit himself on fire outside of Trump's trial in NYC has been identified as Max Azzarello. My name is Max Azzarello, and I am an investigative researcher who has set himself on fire outside of Trump's trial in Manhattan. His manifesto read, "This extreme act of protest is to draw attention to an urgent and important discovery. We are victims of a totalitarian con, and our own government, along with many of their allies, is about to hit us with an apocalyptic fascist world coup. We are victims of totalitarian con, and our own government, along with many of their allies, is about to hit us with an apocalyptic fascist coup." These claims sound like fantastical conspiracy theory, but they are not. They are proof of conspiracy. If you investigate this mountain of research, you will prove them too. If you learn a great deal about Ponzi schemes, you will discover that our life is a lie. If you follow this story in the links below, you will discover the rotten truth of post-truth America. You will learn the scariest and stupidest story in world history, and you will realize that we are all in a desperate state of emergency that requires your attention. To my friends and family, witnesses, and first responders, I deeply apologize for inflicting this pain upon you, but I assure you it is a drop in the bucket compared to what our government intends to inflict. Because these words are true, this is an act of revolution. So yeah, they were trying to paint this guy as a crazy guy, he sounds very coherent in this. And what was crazy about this is when I saw this story pop up and everybody was covering it, none of them ever said what was in his manifesto or the flyers he released, what they said, or, why he lit himself on fire, some of the stuff made it seem like it was related to Trump or whatever, and it took me a little while to get to this much of it to figure out what the hell, and no wonder they were trying to keep it under, because this guy was saying, that Trump and Biden are together, they're working together to bring about this situation that we are in. And this is the kind of stuff I've been saying on this show for the longest time. Two wings, same bird, good cop, bad cop. is what we have going on, this illusion of choice between the Republicans and the Democrats, you know, and this doesn't follow the narrative. You know, they want you to pick a side. They want you to say that the other side is the ones that are the devil and they should step down and they should not be elected or whatever. The world's going to come to an end or whatever. The other side is the problem. You know, if I'm a Republican, it's the Democrats. If I'm a Democrat, it's the Republicans. If I'm a conservative, it's the liberals. If I'm a liberal, it's the conservatives. The other side is the problem. And as long as you're saying something like that, you're following the narrative and they can cover your stuff or whatever, because it sows the, you know, this partisan politics and this separation thing that you have going on, this divide and conquer thing, and it keeps us at each other's throats instead of looking at the realities of the situations that we're all facing as Americans. So yeah, no wonder why they didn't want to share his manifesto. And then you had the people just saying that this guy is crazy, he's a conspiracy theorist or whatever, you know, he's not mentally sound or whatever. And I'm sure this guy took great pains in making this sound coherent and not crazy, you know, and I think he succeeded at that, you know, but it doesn't matter, right? Because the narrative is going to be the narrative and they're going to paint him as crazy regardless because he set himself on fire. You know, I wouldn't condone anybody setting himself on fire. I don't agree with that. I don't know how much of it's going to really accomplish, you know. But as far as drawing attention to certain things, you know, hopefully getting people to go down certain investigative routes and coming to certain conclusions, at the very least realizing that these the corrupt government is the problem, you know, the lobbyists, corporate government, like all intertwined, is the problem and is what we need to focus on instead of our neighbor as the enemy. And we need to educate ourselves and realize what the hell is actually happening and stop pointing fingers at the other side when they both suck. Like Tim Black says, both parties suck, Johnson. Once you get there, now you can start taking in some truth. If you can't get to that point, then they got you. You're stuck. So first comment, it says he's a nut job who needs mental help. Easily to, what was the quote that Dave Chappelle said? He said they always call these people crazy. He said that's dismissive. You know, these people aren't always crazy. Like he's like, he was talking about the people in Hollywood, and he's like, you know, there's a environment that's really hard or whatever, but these people aren't crazy. And it simplifies things. Like everybody loves things to be black and white. It's like a child. It's like God and the devil, good and evil, you know, left and right. That's simple. I could put the world in these boxes and it makes things simple for me. Everything either fits in one box or the other, and I can go along with my life and feel like I understand things, you know. But to really dig into stuff, then you realize there's a gray area. There's good inside of bad and bad inside of good. That's what the yin and the yang symbol is trying to get people to understand. You have the black dot inside of the white side, and then you have the white dot inside of the black side to hopefully get you to understand that, you know, it's not simple. And if you really want to understand, then you have to dig through the intricacies and the gray areas of things. Nobody has time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Comment that says, this is horrible. At least he didn't harm anyone else physically. Another one that says, wow. It says, everyone keeps saying this man is mentally ill, but he's 100% right. And we are all sadly going to learn the hard way. Another one, it says, people are going to try and paint Max Azzarello as either a Trump or Biden supporter. Truth is, he was neither. Took this photo where you can see the signs Max was carrying. He was against both candidates. So this sign right here, and these are stuff that the media did not cover. So the sign says, Trump is with Biden, and they're about to fascist coup us. Trump is with Biden, and they're about to fascist coup us. Doesn't fit the narrative. Makes people brain explode. So if it doesn't make sense to you, then he's crazy. It says, within minutes of setting himself on fire, we have full access to Max Azzarello's manifesto. As for Audrey Hale, the transgender shooter's manifesto, we're still not allowed to see that. It says, we got his manifesto real quick, but still nothing on the trans shooter manifesto. Why are you throwing like this topic into this situation? Like that doesn't put the conversation forward. They're like, that doesn't move the conversation. That's a distraction. Let me see. There was some in this clip. Hold on. Where is the rest of it? There was something in here. Where was it? Where did it go?
Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be successful at starting a revolution. It has happened in the past where somebody lighting himself on fire started a revolution, but the person that did it didn't intend necessarily to start a revolution. They were just in desperation and people felt it. So I think that when you are intending to ignite a revolution, it doesn't work. You know, it's when your intentions are just desperation, you know, that's when, because revolutions start out of desperation. No one wants to fight a revolution. Everybody just wants to go about their day and take care of their kids and make sure their life is good or whatever, like have something to eat, and just like, they don't want drama, like they don't want problems, you know, they want simple life. You know, everybody wants that. You know, nobody wants to get up in the morning and start a revolution. Nobody wants that. So, you know, but when you push people to that point where it's like the piece of their life, they can't enjoy it. They can't eat their food without taking deep breaths. Like, what was that from? It was from a song. It's like, I take deep breaths every time I chew. Like, and it's like when they get to that point, they can't sleep at night, you know, they can't focus on anything. Their mental always goes back to this same huge glaring issue that's, it's like a thorn in their eye. When it gets to that point, it's like, I'd rather die than continue to live this way. So I have to do something. This kind of goes with the topic here. Let's do this one. You know, I love maps. Let's look at this. So it says, Blockbuster new report identifies 100 million in foreign dark money subverting the will of American people. Americans for Public Trust has identified nearly 100 million in funding for ballot issues by 1630 fund across 25 states over the last 10 years. This is one major dark money PAC that consistently donates to left-wing ballot initiatives across the U.S. No part of the United States has been spared from 1630 funds foreign money, the report continued. Ballot initiative in Michigan, Ohio, Colorado, Nebraska, Missouri, and Nevada have received the highest concentration of funding, ranging from 6 million to almost 34 million. Deep red states like Arkansas, North Dakota, and South Dakota have also had their ballot issues bankrolled by 1630 Fund. The group has used the foreign-backed cash to influence state policy on abortion rights, minimum wage, paid leave, drug policy, and voting rights. The public trust reports also lays bare the foreign and dual citizenship billionaires undermining American democracy. A handful of top donors to 1630 Fund have been identified: tech billionaire Pierre Omidyar, liberal mega donor George Soros, and their sister 501c New Venture Fund. But none are more notorious than one of their most significant backers, Swiss billionaire Hans-Georg Weiss. Mr. Weiss is a foreign national who once told a Swiss newspaper that he never felt the need to become an American. The biggest threats to America's republic is coming from foreign-born billionaires and left-wing NGOs. This blockbuster report exposes one of many ways that radical globalists threat democracy and undermine the will of American people. So, I wish that this story would be more balanced, because the dark money is coming for both sides, and from both sides, and to support both sides. And this is small chump change really here, where they're talking about 100 million or whatever. I would say these initiatives here actually, a large amount, probably the majority of Americans would support a lot of this stuff right here that they're talking about here. So there isn't really that much of a need for a lot of money on this side. On the other side, where it's stuff that the American people don't really support, that's where the majority of the money goes into, from what I can see. Now, I could be wrong on that. But money out of politics, money in the politics is the problem. And this kind of points to that situation. That's where the focus needs to be. If you want a functioning democracy, then we need to not have elections that last 2 years that cost billions of dollars. We need to not allow Citizens United. We need to not allow the money coming from these lobbyists and these corporations to be able to draw the legislation that these congressmen supposedly introduce. That is the biggest issue right there, is money in politics. Take it out. Make an even playing field for candidates to run. Everybody needs the radio ads and the TV ads or whatever. It costs money to run for an election, but put a cap on that amount that you can spend, and shorten the election cycle, so that there won't be a need for so much money to be spent. Like I say, allow a even level playing field for everyone to run, instead of having these PACs and the DRC and the RNC determining who has a real shot and who doesn't. And allow anybody to run, anybody to be able to access the funds needed to run. I mean, if you really want to fix the problem, then that's the main thing. And then the next top priority would be the way you draw up these districts. You want to talk about voter fraud or whatever, which is very rare. But you have them choosing who their voters are by drawing up these districts in certain ways, packing, cracking, making it so words, you dilute the power, you consolidate the power or whatever, based on how you draw these districts up. So that's needs to be the focus. If you want to talk about voter fraud, get it so that these districts aren't so gerrymandered all to hell, where it's like you live across the street from somebody and you're literally in another district, or your neighbor is in another district, like some crazy retarded stuff. Am I losing y'all? My bad. I fucking pressing too many buttons. I'm here. I don't know which direction I want to go in, so we're just gonna wing it. Cause it's been a while since I've been on the show, and I'm full of stuff that I've been wanting to talk about, like a lot of stuff, like Iran. Hold on, do I have something on that in this? I didn't get to talk about the Iran thing well enough. There's a little clip here. Let's play this clip. Let's go back to Twitter. Because if it wasn't for the United States and the UK blowing up those drones and missiles that Iran embarrassed Israel, and that's the reason why they had to freaking retaliate, which they did. You know, they couldn't let themselves they couldn't let it go. I'm gonna move on. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I want to play this. If I'm not gonna get in trouble for this, hold on, let me see. Let me see.
There's a lot of confusion about this video, appearing to show missiles being fired at planes during a nighttime attack. Some people say it shows Israel's air defense against Iran's April 13th missile and drone strikes. Others, like this post right here, claims it's evidence that World War III has begun. Using these sources, we can verify that the video isn't even real. It's computer generated, and it was made back in 2021. Using video forensics tools, Verify found the account that originally posted the video. It was part of a compilation of similar videos that featured World War II propeller planes. Posts used the hashtags CGI, World War II, and 1940. CGI stands for computer generated imagery. The term refers to visuals in videos, images, and video games that were created by a person using computer editing software. The World War II and 1940s hashtags suggest that the video was meant to depict an air raid using propeller planes from World War II. Now, this isn't the first time that this video has been used to falsely show current war footage. When Russia first invaded Ukraine back in 2022, some people posted this video claiming that it showed Russian airstrikes against Ukraine.
Yeah, so Verify, I'm feeling that deal. So if y'all haven't heard of it, Verify, it's pretty cool, man. Check them out. I'm gonna move on because I know that's gonna pop back up. MGT. Let's do some quick stories. Make sure I got some reels, and we'll let it come back around. So right here, it says Walmart drone delivery service to start at 2 North Texas locations next week. It says a new drone delivery service is launching. Drone delivery operations are expected to begin on Monday, April 22nd at the Walmart Supercenter located at 9101 North Tarrant Parkway, and on Monday, April 29th at the Walmart Supercenter located at 6401 Northeast Loop 820, according to a city press release. This service will operate daily from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., delivering within a 4-mile radius of each store. The drones can carry up to 2.3 pounds for various items, and the pilot program will last 1 year. I wonder how expensive that'll be and how efficient it'll be. Yeah, this is the future, I guess. You know, this is what we got going on. I mean, people wanted their packages in 1 day. You know, now they can get their packages, I guess, in some hours. Like, you make your freaking order and then it's at your door like in a few hours. Like, I guess that's pretty cool. I mean, depending on how you look at it, I mean, that's what people care about. They're so self-centered that, you know, regardless of what's happening in the world, as long as I get my package in a few hours, you know. It says how much Plan B weigh. Yeah, but they said within a 4-mile radius. So if your state is outlawing abortion drugs or whatever, then you're not gonna be able to. It's not gonna work. It says 2.3 pound limit. Like, how much stuff can you order that's gonna be under 2.3 pounds? Look, somebody says a block of cheese, please. How expensive is that block of cheese gonna be? Another comment says, nice, can't wait, the future is here. Another one says, make it stop, please. It says, people don't want to work. How does that fit? I don't know how that fits. Another comment says, sounds like it's going to be a lot of excessive noise. The drones are not really noisy. Another comment says, man, I'm just asking for more checkout lines to be open. I don't need all of this. Hey, more checkout lines open affects their bottom line, buddy. You're digging into Walmart's profit margin. You're taking money out of the pockets of the investors, buddy. Costs money to man those lines. Yeah. Let's do this one. Today is 420. Well, it's 421 now. Here are the marijuana possession laws in Texas and Harris County. Is it legal to carry marijuana in Texas? Section 481.121 of the Texas Health and Safety Code covers marijuana possession. The punishment for the crime depends on the amount of marijuana a person has when arrested. There are 6 varying offenses depending on the amount, starting with a Class B misdemeanor and ending with a first-degree felony. So you can still get a felony based on how much marijuana you have on your possession in Texas. While it is legal in the state to possess marijuana, Harris County has a program meant to keep people who would theoretically be arrested for misdemeanor possession out of jail. The Misdemeanor Marijuana Diversion Program is a voluntary program offered through the Harris County District Attorney's Office to divert all misdemeanor possession of marijuana cases from jail. That sounds good. It says Texas has not decriminalized marijuana, but some cities have decriminalized it. How can a city do it and the state not? Those cities include Austin, Denton, Elgin, Killeen, and San Marcos earlier this year. Texas Attorney General Kim Paxton sued those 5 cities for violating the state law. The Texas House of Representatives passed a bill to decriminalize marijuana last year, but the bill died in the Senate. Yeah, so they don't want to decriminalize it in Texas. Texas is an old school state. Man, I don't like Ken Paxton. I don't like that guy. Like, even the look on his face, like all the time, he has this smug look on his face. Like, don't like that guy. It says are CBD gummies legal in Texas? CBD products are legal in the state of Texas if they comply with state and national laws. CBD stands for cannabidiol, which is a chemical found in cannabis plants that don't produce a high. Hemp products like CBD are legal in the state. However, they can't be smoked. That is illegal. So you can chew the gummies, but you can't smoke them. It's probably because the police can't identify a difference between the CBD and the marijuana. So just make it all illegal so the cops don't have such a hard time. It says Saturday marks one of the most well-known culturally holidays in the country, 420. Celebrated every April 20th. The holiday is a day for people to advocate for legalization of marijuana in the United States and other countries. The drug has been legalized in 24 states and decriminalized in 7 more. 14 states have legalized the medical use of cannabis. Texas is not one of them. The Lone Star State policy remains that weed is illegal. The only exception for medical marijuana use is when doctors prescribe low THC cannabis under the state's compassionate use program. Texas still has dry counties where they don't even have liquor, so Texas will be the last freaking state. Comment says, just what we need, celebrating drugs, which diminish mental capacity of young people and reduces motivation to be successful, learn, work hard, etc. No greater way to turn a country into a turbo. I guess, bro. People smoke in other countries and are just fine, just successful and everything. Like, although I have to agree with the comment for the most part, it's like, it does make you, people think it like makes them smarter or whatever, but it makes you think harder on certain things. Like it makes you focus on things, but It doesn't make you smarter. It slows you down. That's what it does. So you seem like you're smarter because you can focus on things. But I think that that's necessary in some cases. Like, we have such a short attention span. So many people with ADHD and other mental issues, they can't focus. And THC can help with that. So, I really think that they were talking about taking it off for the Schedule 1. I think it's still a Schedule 1 drug, which is ridiculous. And they should take that off of Schedule 1 so that researchers can do research and they can synthesize drugs that will help people with all kinds of issues. And it doesn't have to get them high. It'll just help them with these issues that they have. Our healthcare system is so terrible. People medicate themselves from the street. It's more dangerous, but it's not full of red tape and bureaucracy. So it is what it is. But then they get addicted, and then they got no telling what is mixed in with it. It's not safe. That's how you get drug overdoses and stuff like that. End up on opiates. Don't even know. If it could be synthesized and you can know exactly, what you're getting and the dosages, and you can know exactly what it's treating or whatever, that will be helpful for everyone, man. I mean, I'm sure the pharmaceutical drug complex would love to be able to monetize marijuana. Another one that says, the more we can ban drugs, the more people will stop using them. What? You got to be joking, right? I mean, it's like when you tell somebody that they can't have chocolate, what do you think they're gonna want them more than anything? You tell somebody they can't go outside, what are they gonna want to do more than anything? Like, you must don't understand the psychology of people, or either that or you're being sarcastic. I need a break. Where y'all at? I need somebody to come in here so I can get a break. I'm talking so much. This one, it says, self-made millionaire Harris Rosen adopted a Florida neighborhood called Tangelo Park, cut the crime rate in half, and increased the high school graduation rate from 25% to 100% by giving everyone free daycare and all high school graduate scholarships. Now look at this. Now, as far as me believing in the Batmans of the world, I'm against that, and how philanthropy is going to save the world type of shit. Like, we are at the behest of the whims of our billionaires of society. Like, whatever they decide that's good for society is what, is going to save us or whatever. Like, that system is terrible. But this shows that they know what works and what really can help people. It also shows that, homelessness is a policy choice. Poverty is a policy choice. The school to prison pipeline is a policy choice. Okay. We were just talking about the money going to Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan and all of this. This guy single-handedly increased the graduation rate from 25 to 100%. Daycare. How important is freaking daycare? Why is it so expensive? How come we can't pass laws to put caps on how much they can charge for daycares, provide daycare for people who can't afford it? With the money that we have, instead of sending it to Ukraine. He said it gave all high school graduates scholarships. So then that's a motivation for the people to work hard and to graduate, because then they can have a chance for a future to further, they can further their education. These kids drop out of school because they don't have no hopes for a future. They don't have anything for them out there. It's like, for what? It's like, that's the reason why I don't want my daughter to start working. Like, she's 17 now, and I really just don't, I'm trying to put that off as much as I can. I'm like, you got the rest of your life to work, man. There's no point in rushing into that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because your mindset changes once you start working. You start working, you get a job, maybe you get an apartment or something, and then you like, why should I even go to school? Like, I'm already where a lot of people want to be, or whatever, what people are striving for, or whatever. Like, the whole point of going to school is to get a job so you can have like an apartment, so you can have freedom and do whatever the hell you want to do or whatever. What's the point of me going to school and getting more of an education? Like, most of the people I know just have regular ass jobs like the one I have anyways. So, you know, their prospects change, their state of mind changes, their ambition changes or whatever, the crowd, the people that they're around, influence them. So that's the reason why I want my daughter to go to school, is because I want her to be around people who are trying to do something with their life, and hopefully those people can motivate her, influence her in a way that will have her to further her education so that she can do better things in life. And like I always say, college and universities aren't for everything, and trade aren't for everyone. Trade schools are great, fantastic, but that's education still too, Let's not get it twisted. Let's stop belittling people who, because they want to learn more stuff, and it's not the end all to be all, but when you have something that you're working towards, it motivates you to get up in the morning. It motivates you to accomplish things, to take a shower, to dress nice, to, go out in the world and try. That's the beginning. If you don't even have the motivation to try, because it's like, for what? I'm just going to end up in prison or jail. I'm going to be, my goal, like, I'm going to be a social media influencer, or I'm going to be a stripper, or I'm going to be a barber. And I'm not knocking any of this stuff. What I'm saying is, you can have ambitions to be whatever the hell you want to be. That's what we tell the children when they're little. But then once they get older, they're like, man, you better go work at UPS or something. Like, whatever, man. The point of this post right here, this post points to me is that the situations that we face are policy choices. And we know what we can do to improve situations for people in the inner city, people are in the suburbs, people across the nation, people in the country, whites, blacks, Hispanics, everyone, old people, young people, you name it. We can improve the lives of these people all the way across the board, but there isn't a political will to do so. We'd rather send the money to Ukraine, basically to the military industrial complex, to the private sector. We want to send all the money to the private sector. Somehow the private sector is going to save the freaking world with their agenda of profit model over people, with their agenda of how did we do last quarter, with their agenda of, how can we improve revenue for our investors? That's going to save the world. That's the answer to everything. Privatize it, and the decisions that the market is going to work itself out, and it's going to be better for everyone. Like, there's so much data that shows that is not the case, and we're still saying this shit. Like the trickle down economics, like there's nothing that supports that, and we're still saying that shit. Comments, it says, I teach about Harris Rosen in my civics class. Incredible story. You do know he is a Republican, right? I mean, his political leanings matters not to me. You know, what he did was great. Like, I don't even think there's a need to mention what political party he's affiliated with. So because this one guy did something good and he was a Republican, does that say that Republicans are good in overall? Or does that show that Democrats are bad overall? Like, it's anecdotal evidence that there's no correlation. Another comment says, don't mind me. I'm just here to laugh at Republicans who know enough to know that Rosen is a Republican, but not enough to know why they don't support the exact same policies when it's brought up for a vote. Yeah, like I say about this, the he's giving them daycare, and I was talking about the damn lunch. Like, the daycare is going to cost way more than giving the kids lunch, but they can't pass that. The Republicans knock that every time it pops up. Give the kids lunch so their parents can smoke crack? No. Another comment says, this is what we could do across the country if billionaires paid their fair share in taxes. Ooh, bing, bing, bam, bam. Well, this is only halfway true, because if the billionaires paid their fair share in taxes, that would only be the first step. The next step would be how they appropriate those funds. And would they appropriate them to daycare and scholarships? I don't think so. No. You have to change the culture. You have to change the narrative. You have to change the money in the politics. The corporations want to make money. You know, they make a lot of money off of building prisons. Like Texas has built how many prisons in the last 10 years? How many universities or colleges have they built in the same time? It's more profitable to send these people and make them into criminals than to make them stand-in citizens. So as long as there's so much money in the politics and the corporations have their hands in the pockets of the politicians, or the politicians have their hands in the pockets of the corporations, however you want to look at that, it ain't gonna matter. All the tax money can come in there, and then we're just gonna send more to Ukraine, or military industrial complex, or the pharmaceutical industry, or Walmart, Amazon. They need more money. If anybody needs more money, it's Amazon. Another comment says, might I also add that after one of the more impactful hurricanes in Central Florida, while other hotels were price gouging, he made his resort available for pennies on the dollar so people would have someplace to stay, safe to stay. I'm liking this guy more and more. Every time the more I hear about him. Never heard of this guy. His name sounds familiar, but another comment says, wait, it's not by having police on every corner and jails at the ready. Mind blown. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, they know the answer, but they fucking say this bullshit all the time. It makes me angry. Like, poverty is what leads to crime, okay? You want to say it's the demographics, and that's going back to what I was saying, unspoken beliefs, where certain people are predisposed to crime. So if you give them everything that they need in their life, they're not hungry, they're not struggling, they have prospects for the future, they have daycare, they have a scholarship or whatever, they're still going to go out there and rob people. That's what's going to happen, because they nothing you can do about it. Just get more police. Like, we want to be safer. Like, come on, there's nothing that supports that. There's nothing that supports that. That's why they say defund the police, because they're in a lot of municipalities, the police is the big, huge budget, whole bunch of funds going in there, and the people don't feel safer. They're not safer. The crime is the same. If you want to fight the crime, you fight poverty. It's real simple. You give people prospects. You give after school you put money in school programs. There's study after study after study that says this. But we still talking about more police is the answer. They make money off of that. Comment says, I have met this man, and he is one of the greatest gentlemen of all time. He changed everything I ever believed about philanthropy and being a champion for your community. He is a living example of what one person can do. Another comment says, can he run for president? Because I'm trying to see something. Another one that says, that's great. Free daycare alone is huge. I live outside DC. My husband and I both make six-figure salaries, and daycare for 2 kids is more than our mortgage. I'd have a 3rd child, but daycare. She said daycare is for 2 kids is more than their mortgage. Why is that the case? Why? Ask that question. Why? Because this is what leads to the situations that we have. So there's no coincidence. Policy is what we're talking about here. Systems manage people. People manage systems. You create a system where daycare is expensive as hell, leads to people not being successful, people not being able to move up in the social sphere, people committing crime so they can pay daycare. Another comment says, everyone knows if you want to make the world a better place, early childhood education is key. Another one that says, Mr. Rosen, well, we're not just talking about early childhood education when we're talking about daycare. It's allowing the parents to be able to go to work. That's not to belittle early childhood education. Yes, early childhood education is key, but really this opens up the parents' ability to make money and to provide for the family and to build and to save and to grow. You got situations where one parent, it's better for that parent to just stay home because the amount of money that they make on their job equals the amount the daycare costs. So there's no point in even going to work. Just stay home with the kids. Another comment says, Mr. Rosen has given to underserved, impoverished communities and schools for a long time. And now without it being publicly recognized, it says, a long time now without being publicly recognized. Very glad to see that he is being recognized. He has been a godsend to many students to which he provided a supper program for. Supper program. So yeah, food I think is one of the biggest fucking things that can make a difference. Like the Republicans don't want the kids to have food. Another comment says, I bet he does all this without claiming to be a Christian like Jimmy Carter. He just acts like a good person. Another one that says, it's so simple. He's a hero. If only all millionaires would think like that. This is what makes America great. I need a break. My mouth is dry. Let me see. What do I have in here? Hello, internet people. It's Bo again. I watch a lot of Bo, the Fifth Column. Between Democracy Now! And Bo, the Fifth Column, that's what I get up and watch in the morning. Hello, internet people. It's Bo again. I don't agree with him all the time. I wonder where he be getting his information from, too. Like, he's got some inside sources. UAW. We talked about Volkswagen earlier. Do I want to play that? Israel, Iran. I think I'm kind of tired of that topic, even though that was really big news this week. See, I was talked about this. Amazon to argue U.S. Labor Board is unconstitutional. I played some of that in the other show. I might play this just because it'll clarify what I was saying, because I know I'm monotone, especially when I'm reading slides. Probably didn't even understand what I was saying. So do we do that or do we do UAW? Give myself a break. Let's play
This
this.
is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Today, in a closely watched election, 4,000 Volkswagen workers in Chattanooga, Tennessee, start to vote on whether to organize with the United Auto Workers. This could be the UAW's first big victory as they try to expand into the southern United States after huge contract wins last year with the Detroit companies General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. Pro-union Volkswagen workers in Tennessee spoke in a video produced by a More Perfect Union.
Our healthcare costs went up almost 15%. Well, they gave us a small 11% increase after the big three negotiated their contract. Well, our insurance costs went up, so it ate up. So we don't see any of that.
Well, if we're going to work for a company like this and they're going to generate that kind of money, then why can't we have our fair share as well?
Volkswagen sales have shot out the roof. $78 billion profit over the past 3 years.
We were able to grow revenues and underlying operating result in a difficult economic environment.
We're the largest automaker in the world, but yet the employees are here struggling.
The loudest voices of the anti-union, they keep trying to press this notion that if we unionize, Volkswagen's going to shut us down. They're going to close their factory. They're not going to pull it out just because 4,000 employees out of 600,000 want to be organized. Not to mention the fact that all of their other factories are organized.
For more, we're joined by Hamilton Nolan, journalist who writes about labor and politics for In These Times, and his Substack, How Things Work, where his latest piece is Trampoline Unionism, Power Expands, It Doesn't Contract. His new book is The Hammer, Power, Inequality, and the Struggle for the Soul of Labor. Hamilton, welcome back to Democracy Now! Talk about this epic struggle in Tennessee right now, the significance of the workers trying to unionize the Volkswagen plant.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This election is a big, big deal, probably the most important union election that this country has seen in years. It's been decades since UAW or anyone has successfully unionized a big auto plant like this down south. And it's important to understand that these companies are in the South in the first place because they think they can go there to escape unions, to escape regulation, to find more easily exploited workers. It's essentially a form of domestic offshoring. The companies use the South the same way they use Mexico.
Domestic offshoring. They use the South the same way that they use Mexico. Like it kind of goes with the argument that guy was making about minimum wage and his $18 or whatever. This downward pressure on wages allows the companies to get away with this. Like, when you have a bunch of desperate folks, right to work state, you can get fired for any reason. They don't even have to tell you. You don't have you can't unionize or whatever, then they can pay you whatever they want to pay you. They can mess over you easily. It's like, well, don't you want to have jobs? I mean, like sweatshop jobs, like the ones that they have in Haiti and Mexico and China, whatever. And you talk bad about China, but then they do the same thing here in the United States, but you don't talk about that. It's like, so that's how they use the South, like it's across the border. Because a lot of the people in the South are from across the border too. So there goes another aspect of that. So when when they talk about the border, they're halfway, like they're not being 100% on that. They want these workers that they can exploit or whatever, and that's where you create the alien. You create the illegal immigrant. They don't have papers. They don't have any advocacy. You know, they can't fight for themselves. They don't have any rights. So they're ripe to be exploited, you know. So that's the reason why the situation is the way that it is. They don't want people to do it legally. So then they have to extend rights to these people. So that's again what I talk about. Systems manage people, people manage systems. You create a system that incentivizes people to do it the wrong way so that they can come over here and be exploited. You know, you make the system to become legal, convoluted, full of red tape and time consuming to incentivize people to do it illegally so that you can exploit their labor. Because you know they're just coming over here to work. They're not freaking criminals and rapists and drug dealers.
And so the UAW, which is coming off a big win in a national strike last year, has taken that energy that they had from the strike and funneled it directly into a big, ambitious plan to organize not just one company down south, but all of the non-union auto companies down south. And this Volkswagen election is the first one to come up for a vote. So this is really going to be an extremely important indicator as to whether the UAW can finally crack these non-union auto plants down south. And if they're able to successfully pull off this Volkswagen election, and I think that, you know, all the reporting on the ground indicates that, you know, cautious optimism is probably warranted here. If they're able to win in Chattanooga, it sends a really powerful signal to all the other non-union auto workers down south that this is not a dream, that this is not something they have to be afraid of, that this is something that can actually be done. And I think you could really see this looking back as the first domino in something that changes the entire South.
And Hamilton, this plant is the only Volkswagen factory in the world without a union. How did the company respond to the unionization effort and justify to its workers that this is the only plant that's not that it's not organized?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, you know, particularly the European automakers are very used to working with unions all over the world, and the plants that they have down south are in many cases the only places where they don't have unions. And still, I think, you know, Volkswagen has claimed to be neutral in this election. I think the workers would tell you they probably haven't quite been neutral, but it really does go to illustrate how ridiculous the South's kind of model of economic development is, which is for many generations, the South has put forward a theory, you know, that the way to do economic development is just to give companies everything they want, to create easily exploited and economically desperate workforce, and that is the thing that will attract businesses. And you know,
and that is true. You know, it will attract businesses. You know. And it is also true that a lot of these companies are just going to move overseas otherwise, you know. But on the other hand, you could pass laws that can keep them from doing that, you know. You can force them to not do those things. And a lot of these companies can't move overseas, you know, and their products and services are here or whatever. So, I mean, if they're going to leave, let them leave. The ones that are here, they got to follow the rules. That's how they do it in other countries. You know, so leaving it open, deregulating them so that they can do whatever they want. And you can have planes falling out of the sky and trains crashing and bridges coming down. That's the choice that we've made here in the United States, especially in the South, which these are the results that we get. Exploited, overworked workforce, a powder keg waiting for a revolution, you know, a lot of people hurting.
We saw 6 Southern governors come out with a joint statement yesterday warning workers not to join the UAW, and it was probably one of the most pathetic things I think we can ever see in our life. Governors of U.S. states catering to international corporations before the workers who are citizens of their own states.
That part is really important, I think. When we talk about these companies, they're multinational conglomerates. They don't have any loyalty to the United States. They don't care about the United States at all. At all, at all, at all. So when you cater to these folks, you're choosing them over your own citizens. That is crazy. There goes America first again. It's not America first if you're choosing these corporations who are multinational corporations who don't give a damn about the United States.
So again, the South is really funneling money to international corporations for free, and the UAW is trying to put an end to that.
And all the money, so American taxpayer money going to these multinational corporations for them to spend that money overseas and doesn't help Americans in any kind of way. Like, that makes sense to y'all?
Well, as you say, there's not only labor organizing spreading across the South, but there's also major gains that have occurred in California that you've written about, the $20 minimum wage for fast food workers there. Can you talk about the importance of that?
Yeah, California recently passed the $20 minimum wage for fast food workers. It's obviously something that's good for fast food workers. But B, the interesting thing about that was it's sort of a step down the road towards sectoral bargaining, which means, the ability to negotiate wages and working conditions for entire industries at once, not having to go store to store to store, unionizing every store in order to get a contract at each fast food outlet, which is nearly impossible and is why the fast food industry doesn't have any unions. California establishing things like a wage board that can set a wage for a whole industry. It's a really interesting kind of step towards thinking bigger about ways to empower workers on an industry-wide level. This is something that a lot of people think is really the path for reaching workers on the scale that we need to reestablish union power in America, given how bad our labor laws are and how hard it is to organize at scale. And so it's encouraging. And it's also, I think, an illustration of what you're seeing all over the country, which is red states are running in a real negative direction on labor rights, and blue states in response are trying to become more and more progressive on labor rights. And I think that's a trend that's going to continue for a while.
We just have 15 seconds, Hamilton, but I wanted to ask you about Shawn Fain, the head of UAW, being the guest of the Bidens at a White House dinner, and the UAW stance calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Do you think Shawn Fain is getting through to President Biden?
I don't know.
That's a weird question. How much longer am I going to stay on here is the question. I'm getting tired. I haven't done it in a while. These 4, 8, 6-hour shows that I do all the time, I haven't done it in a while, and it's like I'm feeling pretty exhausted right now. And I usually do these long shows. I guess I'm just not used to it anymore. My brain is tired. Let's do some more short clips. Let me see. Am I sharing? Yes. It says the director of human resources for DC Public Library has had a full-time remote job as a senior HR manager and a contract job working as a doula. Am I saying that right? So it says DC Public Library HR director resigns after working as a doula on city time. So they were on city time and they were, so you know what this makes me think about? It makes me think about, how much work do these people actually do? A lot of these executives or whatever. Could you work your job and at the same time be a doula or whatever? Like, it makes me think that they're not really doing much. Like, a lot of these people aren't really doing much. Like, how could they have time to do this at the same time? And they're the director of human resource for DC Public Library. Like, I'm sure that carries a major ass salary. And, you know, like I say, man, these people, the people at the bottom are the ones that do all the work. And these people up here, they don't do much. I'm sorry, man. It's just, I mean, how many of y'all out there at your job could be doing your job and doing something else like this at the same time? Like, how is that possible? It says she was fined $17,500 for side hustles that were more than doubling $148,000 salary. So I guess she could just go do that full time. I mean, guess she, you know, like I say, how much work was she really doing in that job? Like, send a couple of emails or whatever, and then she's done for the day. Like, it's crazy, man. It just shows, like I say, man, a lot of these executives, they don't have to do much, man. These people have work-life balance. The rest of us gotta freaking miss our kids' recital, miss our kids' soccer practice. We gotta work nights, weekends, and holidays. These people get to. Let me read this. It says, on some days, for hours at a time, employees at DC Public Library could not seem to reach the director of human services, and in one instance, she went fully AWOL. So they couldn't reach her for hours at a time. Like, she was doing her Duola thing. Like, she's got to send an email. Give me a second. Let me send this email. It says, now it's clear why the human resource director, Lauren Graves, was helping to deliver a baby through her work as a doula, a job she performed on DC government time and without any disclosures to her superiors, according to an investigation by the DC Board of Ethics and Government Accountability. The investigation, the outcome of which was released Thursday, found that Graves was not only performing side work as a doula, but also working a totally separate full-time remote human resources job for another company on city time for years. Ethics violation resulted in a $17,000 fine and Graves' resignation this week. Yeah, all the money she was making, that $17K, like nothing, I'm sure. Good Lord, this talking about a workaholic, man. So she had the freaking. So let me take back what I was saying before. Golly, she was. But again, I guess it still fits to what I'm saying. Like, if you can work 2 full-time jobs and be a duola, those full-time jobs are some executive, separate full-time human resources. Like, so how much work are these human resources executives really have to do? If you can get away with this. Wow, she made some cake. I'm sure she don't care. She don't care. She was stacking that bread. It says none of the above referenced conduct was authorized by the District of Columbia, and Graves' conduct offends the very fabric of government integrity and accountability, BGA officials wrote in the deposition. Graves submitted her resignation Sunday night, and it was effective Monday, said George Williams, a spokesman for the library system. Graves did not immediately respond to a phone call and text message seeking comment as part of a negotiated settlement with BGA's Office of Government Ethics. She acknowledged that her actions amounted to an egregious violation of DC's Code of Conduct. According to the BGA, Graves began working for the DC Public Library in November 2021, a 9-to-5 job in which she was responsible for recruiting, managing payroll, and other employee relations. But at that time, Graves already had 2 other jobs, working full-time as a senior HR manager of Blackstone Consulting, a job she held since 2020, plus a contract job working as a doula in Doulas of Capitol Hill. She didn't disclose any of those jobs to her supervisors, according to BAGA. As of Monday, her LinkedIn page describes the multiple jobs. You know, the rest of us can't even find a good paying job. She had 3 of them. First comment says 3 jobs. Is she Jamaican? Y'all remember the skit? What was it? What show was that? It was the Got to Go to Work. I got to go to work. What was that? In Living Color. I think it was off of In Living Color. They had this skit where the guys, they were all like Jamaican or some island people, and they would come in like they just got off of work and they're taking off their uniform, and then they chop it up with they have roommates too, a bunch of people living in the same place, and they come in and they talk a few minutes, maybe eat something, and then they look at their watch and they're like, oh, got to go to work. Like they just got off work and they got to go to another. Anyways, it's pretty funny. It says, if you read the article, this is a comment. It says, if you read the article, she was making $148K per year at the library, and then an additional $144K at her other job as a contractor at the same time. Dang, man. $300K, and that's not even counting the money from the Duola. And I'm sure that's really good money. Cake, 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 cake. More power to her, man. I'm going to say that. It says, let's just talk about the fact that she had to work 3 jobs to simply survive living here. That's the story. I think that is the story as far as like, I don't know, 300K should be enough, but. And then you had the guy talking about $7 an hour is enough for these people who first enter into the workforce. Like that's how much they should be getting paid because they don't have no skills or whatever. Like, I don't know how you can live off of $7.25 an hour. You need to have 3-4 roommates. You definitely can't get your name on no lease nowhere. Nowhere, literally nowhere. You can't buy a car. I don't know how you eat. Just eat noodles every day. Another comment says, damn, she was organized. Another one that says, she should teach a class because we are not mad. Telling you, man, tell us how you got those high paying ass jobs. Like, what kind of resume? How does your resume look? Like, what is your interview skills like? Teach us. We want to know. Another comment says, the government really don't like it when one of us is winning. Another comment says, and rich people be CEO of 3 or 6 companies or being on the board of directors for 10 different organizations is different how. This article is trash and a hit piece against the middle and lower class. Address the root issue of why people feel compelled to game the system. They're always attacking us, like the working people. Like, I don't know if I would necessarily call her that though, because she was like the head of the freaking HR of the library. She's in a whole nother tax bracket than the average person. It says, I was getting to the money, everybody mad. Another comment says, my only question is, was she getting the job done at the DC library? Another comment says, what's the issue? Let her stack her money. Another comment says, a director in DC only making $148K is criminal. Another comment says, is Lauren Graves a person of color? It appears that she is being singled out for disciplinary action, while her non-minority colleagues are engaged in similar or identical behavior. This raises concerns about potential bias and discrimination in the workplace. IMO, make an example out of everyone, not just Lauren, if they want to take this route. I always want to throw race in it, but let's look it up. Lauren Graves. Let's see if we can find a picture. The comment was right. Let's share. if this is the right picture. Now, you can't trust the internet all the time, especially with stuff like this. Like sometimes it's wrong. But Lauren Graves, dualist of Capitol Hill. So this is her image. It's a Black woman. Am I sharing? So maybe they're right about what they were saying. Wait a minute. This says Lauren Graves, but that's probably not. It's a different Lauren Graves, I guess. That's why I say you can't be 100% with this stuff. Does she have a Wikipedia page? Let's see. I didn't spell it right, maybe. It didn't pop up. Or maybe she doesn't have a page. Did I spell it right? Lauren. Hold on. That's why I don't like to look up stuff on the fly. LaurenGraves. Graves. Can we add another little deal to her? Advanced search by relevance, searching article. Hold on. Searching page text. Let's see. DUOLA. Let's try it. Nope. Am I spelling that right? DUOLA. No, it's DOULA. DOU. Nope. I guess you don't have a Wikipedia page. And not everybody has a Wikipedia page, you know? They don't have one on me. We're just going to have to assume that that image is correct. We're going to assume that that image was correct. Because I can't verify. So this person must have known. That's the reason why they made that comment. Let me see. There's some replies in here. Reply says, baseless. As a 5+ year employee of DCPL who has personally worked with this lady. Okay, sir, have the day you deserve. It says, thanks for clearing that up. Yes, of course, a gossiping HR workforce with 90% African-American women. As you mentioned, I can only imagine the culture of that workforce being nothing but crabs in the barrel. Look how you are throwing this woman under the bus. I see what's going on here. This crab in the barrel mentality against your own is deplorable. Seem like you may have been hating on your boss all along. I don't know. Who knows? Another comment says, so what's her at so folks can support her, do all the services? Another one says, maybe we need to discuss how none of us can get ahead without having 40 jobs. I'm saying. Another one says, she was trying to pay this DC rent. They say it's really expensive to live in DC. I wonder what the hell she did with her freaking money. She's stacking it. Oh, let's do this one. I lost it. Let's do this one. It says deportees arrive in Haiti from U.S. stranded by gang violence. So yeah, they sent these people back to Haiti who were trying to get seek asylum. You know, if anybody has a valid ass complaint for asylum, it will be these Haitians, but they sent them back. It says immigration, hashtag immigration. 52 Haitians arrived in Cape Haitian. Why does it look like that? 52 Haitians arrived in Cape Haitian on Thursday from the U.S. on the first deportation flight to Haiti in several months, according to a source from the Haitian National Police. The deportees, some of whom view their deportation as unjust, were sent back to a country currently grappling with multiple crises, including job scarcity and rampant gang violence that restricts their ability to return safely to their hometowns. Comments, it says, is this photo from this deportation? Are they deporting children at this time? Or is this an older photo? Well, I don't know. I mean, like, you don't want to separate the parent from the child. So what, you would deport the parent and keep the kid? Like, who's going to watch the kid? Comment says, it's funny, U.S. has an open border crisis that's inviting terrorists, cartel trafficking, etc. But yet this. I'm going to just move on from that one. Another comment says, gotta love us. They wouldn't send them back if they were yet. They're the cause of this instability, and yet here we are. Supposedly there's a God, humans. Another one says, look at the Biden administration giving candy with one hand and slapping folks with the other. Another comment says, let us pray for Haiti. Another one, it says, if they were European, they would never have been deported. Another one that says, but y'all love Biden. Another one that says, Jesuelis. I don't know what that one is. Another one, it says, this proves how much USA cares about the situation in Haiti. Another one, it says, choices, free air versus sitting in prison. What does that mean? Free air, so they gave him a plane ticket back to Haiti, like, instead of sitting in prison. Another comment, it says, deport Biden. It says, when will the Ukrainians get deported? To send people back to war-torn country, that's insane. They are not fair-skinned. Next time the diasporas go to vote in November, keep that in mind. Another one, it says, I think the people should not fear and be spiteful. Show America we will survive. Another one, let's deal with the enemy of our enemies, period. Yeah, the Haitian situation is so terrible. If anybody has a valid petition for asylum, it will be them. Yeah, but there's a political bend on who has valid claims to asylum.
And is getting signed tomorrow, right there. And you know why it's getting signed? Because it's attached to the bill that gives aid to Israel and Ukraine. Then this legend, right over here, Tiffany, she was going to get people to come out and show support, or rather opposition. And so they moved the vote earlier in the day. They're banning TikTok here tomorrow night, if you didn't hear.
Last month, the U.S. Senate failed to pass the TikTok ban that many of the members of Congress were trying to force through. So this month, they've attached it to a larger bill that's designed to fund the two wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. Unfortunately, the only thing they felt had to be added was a TikTok ban, of course, We've just received word from congressional staffers that the vote to ban TikTok has been moved up from late tomorrow night to 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. And so we're calling on all of you for help. Originally, the vote to ban TikTok was supposed to take place late tomorrow night, but they found out that a bunch of creators were coming down here to protest the passing of this bill. And so they moved up the timeline, and that's why we're calling on all of you to make time in your schedules to come down here to the U.S. Capitol tomorrow to meet us starting at 11:30 a.m. between the two reflecting pools in the front of the Capitol House.
Bring a blanket, bring your snacks, bring stuff to do. You're already going to be on TikTok at home, scrolling through TikTok. Just come do it here with your homies.
We have assurances that members of Congress have agreed to come out and meet with us to help amplify our voices and to take our stories back inside the House to make their voice heard during the initial vote. Now, the second vote is expected to take place sometime between 5 and 6, although that could change. And we plan to be here as long as it takes to make sure that members of Congress know that our freedom of speech and our First Amendment rights are not a bargaining chip in their war games. So if you're a creator or somebody that just loves TikTok in the DC metro area, I'm talking to you in Delaware, you in Virginia, you in Maryland, West Virginia, as far south as DC and all the way down to Richmond or further. If you can get here tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. to come meet with members of Congress, we need your voices. We need to make our voices heard.
To be clear, this wasn't planned. They're pushing it through right away. So we're going to come and have a little sit-in right away. Bring stuff to keep yourself entertained. Bring your friends. Bring some music, bring some food, lots of food, bring some water.
And definitely bring extra batteries so we can live stream the whole thing and spread our voices as far as these apps will take us.
Oh, and come ready to make some new friends too.
We hope to see you tomorrow morning. We'll be here starting at 11:30.
Oh, the
I'm pretty sure that this already happened. So they tied the TikTok ban to the Israel-Ukraine deal. Yeah. And I was just playing the clip earlier where they passed that. So it looks like the TikTok thing is going to happen. So it says they trying to speed run getting unelected. TikTok ban Congress. It says, comment, it says, we shouldn't just protest banning TikTok. We should be livid that they are even considering sending another $95 billion of our money across the ocean to fund war. Another one, it says, I can't believe Congress is going to be working on a Saturday. Another one, it says, for almost 250 years, Americans have had the right to free speech. It only became a problem and political agenda to ban when the truth started coming out and threatening the precious positions in power. I don't know that the free speech thing was really real. It's like it's free speech as long as they agree with what you're saying. If they disagree with what you're saying, then the speech not so free. I think I have a clip from what's his name talking about TikTok ban. Let's see, where is it? I don't see it. It was Tucker Carlson. Where the hell is it? What the hell? Let me see. It must have been my other Twitter. How do I change to it? I don't even know how to do this on a computer because I'll be scrolling Twitter on my phone. Hold on. Switch account. It doesn't have that. Yeah, screw it. I'm getting tired anyways. Oh no, it wasn't Tucker. It was Elon Musk who said something about it. Thank you. It was Elon Musk. Can I do like a quick? I'm scared to do a Twitter search live. Tell him what the hell's gonna pop up. Let me see. Elon Musk on TikTok. It's too much stuff. It's not popping up. Yeah, that's why I don't like to look up stuff live. This right here is not even in English. Anyways, I'm wasting time. Maybe I'll do a couple more and get out of here.
I've heard just moments ago from a U.S. official confirming that what we have been seeing, these videos, these glows in the sky, that this is indeed an Israeli strike against Iran, that this is the retaliation by Israel that we have frankly been expecting over the course of the past few days in response to that Iranian attack last weekend, which targeted some 300 drones, ballistic and cruise missiles at Israel, an unprecedented historic attack by Iran against Israel. Now what we are seeing, according to a U.S. official who I spoke with just moments ago, this is Israel's response to that. I've heard just moments ago from U.S. officials.
It says Israel has carried out a strike against Iran, as U.S. official told CNN, in a move that threatens to push the region deeper into conflict. Yeah. It's Israel. Iran's not too pissed about it, so they might not. This might be the end of it. They might not retaliate on Israel wanted to save face, as they got embarrassed, and the U.S. was like, "We're not with you on this" or whatever. It's like, we're just gonna put sanctions on Iran. We're not gonna be involved in your retaliation against them. Da da da. Yeah. I'll move on. I'm about to get out of here because my eyes are burning. I don't want to play that because I might start crying. Oh, yeah, this was the one I was saying. Ukraine is headed for defeat. It says Vladimir Putin is now on course for victory in Ukraine. At this stage in Russia's invasion, it's not just the Kyiv forces are running out of ammunition. Or our opinion editor, Jamie Detmer, writes from Kyiv, Western delays on over sending aid mean the country is dangerously short on something even harder to supply than shells, the fighting spirit required to win. Morale among troops is grim, ground down by relentless bombardment, a lack of advanced weapons, and losses on the battlefield. In cities hundreds of miles away from the front lines, the crowds of young men who lined up to join the army in the war's early months have disappeared. Over the past month, the picture that has emerged from dozens of interviews with political leaders, military officials, and ordinary citizens is one of a country slipping towards disaster. Even as President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine is trying to find a way not to retreat, military officers privately accept that more losses are inevitable this summer. The only question is how bad they will be. That puts Putin arguably closer than he has ever been to his goal. The Russian president bet that he can grind down Ukrainian resistance, and Western support looks increasingly like it might pay off. Well, I don't know. Things might change because they just passed the weapons deal to Ukraine. So maybe that'll lift up the morale over there. It's like racism doesn't exist no more.
She is the most streamed French artist on the planet. You might be familiar with some of her songs like Jaja, which has almost 1 billion streams on YouTube alone. Nakamura, who is originally from Mali in West Africa, moved to France when she was just a baby, and she recently has been at the center of a storm after rumors that President Macron asked her if she would perform a song by French legend and icon Edith Piaf during the Paris Olympics opening ceremony. Nakamura's songs are influenced by West African Afrobeats and Caribbean zouk music, and her slang-spiced lyrics are a mixture of French and English and Arabic and West African languages, which are a vivid representation of the melting pot that is representative of La République Française. And without even waiting for confirmation, a wave of attacks from pundits and far-right figures broke out. A small far-right extremist group called the Natives criticized her potential performance, saying her music does not represent French culture, identity, and heritage, while racist online abuse sparked a police investigation. They posed for a photo by the River Seine holding up this banner, which reads, "There's no way, Aya. This is Paris, not a market in Bamako." Bamako being the capital of Mali. This has prompted fierce debates over linguistic propriety, immigration policies, but most importantly, about what constitutes and represents French identity. Nakamura responded to the attacks on X, saying, "You can be racist, but not deaf. That's what hurts you." What she's essentially saying is, you can be racist all you want, but my millions and millions of listeners and streams speak for themselves. Many French artists, athletes, and politicians have come to her defense, saying there is no better way of showcasing the vibrancy and diversity of modern French culture, and they are adamant that she should sing at the Olympics. Rachida Dati, the culture minister, warned against pure racism, and President Macron himself said he was shocked by the racist reactions, adding that the games and the ceremonies should resemble France, and that Aya Nakamura is part of French culture and French music. He added that he backed the freedom of the opening ceremony artistic director to choose artists that represent France in its diversity, its influence, its arts, and its excellence. And he also added that Nakamura would be ultimately the one to make the final decision. France's sports minister also showed Nakamura's support on X, saying, "It doesn't matter. People love you. Don't worry about anything." Meanwhile, Marine Le Pen, a leader of the far-right National Rally Party who narrowly lost against Macron in the last presidential election, said, "This isn't a beautiful symbol. It's a new provocation by Emmanuel Macron, who must wake up every morning wondering how he can humiliate the French people." That's a quote. She also said Nakamura sang who knows what language, and that she was unfit to represent the country. The backlash over her possible performance reflects France's identity crisis, where supporters of Nakamura see those who are criticizing her as refusing to accept the reality of France in 2024, a country where millions of people, many of them originating from France's former colonies in West and North Africa, the Caribbean, and Indochina, are influencing and adding to the richness of France's art and culture. On the other hand, the far right see a multicultural France intent on erasing traditional French culture and altering the language by infusing vocabulary from their countries of origin. It's still uncertain whether Nakamura will actually perform at the Olympics, but the Paris Organizing Committee is trying to limit the damage from the controversy. They have said, "We are very shocked by the racist attacks against Aya Nakamura." They also say, "Total support to the most listened to French artists in the world." This
Interesting stuff. You know, the more things change, the more they seem to stay the same. Aya Nakamura, the most listened to French singer in the world, faced a wave of racist online attacks and insults by members of the country's far right after reports that President Macron asked her if she would perform a song during the Paris Olympics opening ceremony. The controversy triggered a fierce national debate over language and the meaning of French identity in today's society, and highlight the divisions over race and culture in the country. Yep, like I say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Kudos to Macron. Comments. It says, someone tell France in the midst of arguing what is French, send Hades back its money. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm not even going to go there, but yes, that's a very good comment right there. What is French? Another comment says, but they're, basically like white. That's what they're saying. If it's not white, it ain't right. Another comment says, who asked France to go to other people's territories, countries, and colonize them, loot their resources, and enrich France till date? It's a must for France to accept everyone from countries they colonize and extort from. It's 2024, not 1950s. And not according to them, buddy. Yeah, have your cake and eat it too type of stuff. Like, we want to take all the stuff that we want from y'all and even bring y'all over here or over there or anywhere against your will. But, even if we like your music, you can't represent France. Get out of here. Get about it. Another comment says, I'm not surprised by the French. They did it to Haitians and still trying to. Another one that says, they're okay with the World Cup winning football team, though. Another one that says, I'm black. I live in Paris, France. I love her song, but the truth be told, she doesn't represent French culture in any way, period. Oh. What is French culture then? Freaking baguettes, croissants. She was a little kid when she went to over there. She grew up in France. So she doesn't represent the culture. She's French. Next comment says she's not French. That's those comments that people make. She grew up there from a little kid, little baby. I'm sure that she doesn't know anything other than France. You know what I mean? Like, she got a little spice to her. She got a little flavor. That doesn't make her not French. Another comment says, France colonized half the world, and now some are upset by this faux attack on the purity of their culture. It would be funny if it wasn't so pitiful. Comment says, the hate is sickening, but the lack of logical reasoning is maddening. Dare I say psychotic. You kidnap and colonize people, they multiply, which was encouraged for the sake of free labor, and then, checks notes, you take issue with their presence in your country because they are now physically free and striving to be liberated, and, check notes, are the global majority. It's wild. I would agree with the psychotic comment. Like, it's a schizophrenic. It's really crazy. You have to bend yourself in mental pretzels for this stuff to make sense. Another comment says, Europe is losing Europe. Stop letting these sand people and basketball people in. Oh my God. Tell me you're racist without saying you're racist, bro. That was so racist, it was funny. Another comment says, people have such a selective memory. Everything people love about France and Europe broadly is from the countries it colonized and pillaged, from the museums to the chocolate and everything in between. And these purists have the nerve to think that they can exclude when all they know how to do is intrude, including intruding in this conversation over an artist clearly worthy of the anticipated honor. I hope she says yes if asked and proceeds to shut these actual haters down with an impeccable talent. Yeah, we'll see. Says, I did not know her, but just went to stream her music. Yeah, I might need to leave a note because I haven't. I'm going to leave a comment just so I can look at this later. Check it out. I don't understand the words. Oh, I think I'm gonna get out of here. It's storming over here. It's like raining. It's making me sleepy. Yep. The more of the same type of stuff. Let's look at this. Duke University ends full ride scholarship program for select Black students after Supreme Court ruling. So Duke University has officially its Reginaldo Howard Memorial Scholarship Program, according to the student publication, The Chronicle. The Merit Scholarship, since its inception in 1979, was created for Black undergraduates, some of whom needed to demonstrate the need for financial assistance. The scholarship covered 100% of the cost as well as room and board. And Duke is like is one of the whitest universities that's out there. They want to have less Black people at the school. Let's read a comment. It says, how interesting that the people who spent centuries denying opportunities for Black Americans have suddenly become champions of equality and fairness so that they can deny opportunities for Black Americans. OMG. It's the reverse racism for me. Another comment says, one of the many reasons we need to save our HBCUs. Another one, it says, and it begins, this is an opportunity for HBCUs to step up their game, come home. Another one, did they have to do this? This is so cold. Another one, it says, of course they did. Another comment, it says, sad, but who's surprised? I agree the top athletes in every sport need to abandon these institutions and watch how fast the NIL money will follow them. The money follows the talent. That's not necessarily true. You know, the facilities go a long way. And then, you know, the way they do the rankings of these schools, like, it's always the same schools that are in like the what is it, the Sweet 16 and the bowl games and stuff like that. Like, you're not gonna get to the NBA or the NFL if the scouters, they don't know who you are. They haven't never seen you. Like, you can have great talent, but if your team your team could be great and win, but they still don't get to go to any other bowl games because they're not in the right conference and all of that shit. Like, it's complicated as hell. Honestly, I don't really completely understand it, but I know that only certain schools get to be represented or whatever, you know. So, I mean, if they change the way they did that, then maybe, but you win bowl games, you're likely to become a professional athlete. But if you don't even ever get to make it to the bowl, then you can't win a bowl game. Even if your team is great, you just don't get to be in the bowl. Comment says, wow, did that stuff with the quickness, shaking my head. Another one says, yep, very few of us paying attention to what's happening, and it's going to get worse. This is shameful. Another one that says, of course they did. No surprises here. Another one, shaking my head. No one is doing or saying anything. Why isn't this trending? Another one says, which is exactly why not one black, highly sought after athlete should go anywhere else outside of an HBCU. We better wake up, it's coming. Look, here goes more of the same type of stuff. And I ain't gonna lie, when I saw this post right here, it kind of made me mad. Like, I'm not that mad at Duke. Like, it's not surprising and it doesn't really make me mad. Like, screw them. Screw their university. You know, overwhelmingly white. Just don't go to this. Screw their school. Go somewhere else. Screw them. They're the ones who's losing. Like, I brought this up in something. I think it was in class or whatever. I was talking about how, like, DEI actually benefits white people more than black and brown people. It really does, okay? Because they don't know a lot of stuff. Black and brown people have to know white culture. That's how they survive in these states. White people don't have to know other people's culture to get by. They're losing. They have less understanding of things. They have less richness in their life as a result. I mean, I could talk about that for an hour. So if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You don't understand what I'm saying, that's fine too. Let me read this. It says, lab results found at Nestle added sugar to infant milk products it sells in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. No added sugar in formula except for young children in EU and UK markets. The Guardian, Nestle adds sugar to infant milk sold in poorer countries, report finds. Yeah, poorer countries. Black and brown people. Like, this right here pisses me off because it's like, you know, they're doing this on purpose. You know, we know all the issues with the sugar, and then how addictive it is, you know, and the empty calories and stuff like that. And it's like, these people, they don't know, you know what I mean? That's the part that pisses me off, is that they aren't aware. Like, they are sliding this in on these people. You know what I mean? Why would they think that the product would be different in their country if it's the same product, same brand, everything? Why would they think that the product is different in their country than it would be in a European country? That, you know, the average person wouldn't think that. Like that's over the top. So terrible. Would someone think of the children? The caption says, so effing over Nestle's constant harmful S. They're also adding honey, which should not be given to children under 1 in any form because of the risk of botulism. Babies' digestive systems aren't mature enough to move the Clostridium bacteria spores through the body before they cause harm. Yeah, this kind of thing makes me angry right here. This right here pisses me off. It says, wait till you find out about the free formula they handed out in African hospitals so the mother's milk would dry up so they would have to start buying formula. Another one says, Nestle is an arm of the West Global Eugenics Project. It is very intentional about supplying these people lower quality and potentially harmful product for their children. It knows what it wants to achieve. Another one, it says, didn't the Nestle CEO also say that water is not a human right? Yep, I remember him saying that. And I saw a post where they were talking about water is more valuable than oil. Like they're saying that out loud now. Another comment says, Nestle needs to disappear. A study published this month in France revealed the presence of fecal matter in bottled water sold by Nestle. Ew, I hope that's not true. Another one says, and this isn't even close to the worst thing this appalling company has done. Yeah, they'll go into a local area and buy up all the water from the local people and then bottle it up and sell it right back to them. Which would, they buy it on pennies and a dollar too, like really, really cheaply. The same water that would have been just available to those people for free if they just went to the stream. Oh, this is what I just mentioned. It says the water wars are here, y'all. Corporations stealing water from communities and profiting from scarcity. Water is more valuable than oil. The corporation cashing in on America's drought. In an unprecedented deal, a private company purchased land in a tiny Arizona town and sold its water rights to a suburb 200 miles away. Local residents fear the agreement has opened Pandora's box. What a craziness right there. What is so crazy about this? Like, go and take the water from these local people and go sell it to some people in some suburbs 200 miles away. Comment, it says, if humanity survives, I hope one day that Nestle gets tried for the horrific crimes against it. Another comment says, it's been happening quietly for a while, not recent, but now corporations don't have to be quiet anymore. They own a whole lot of lawmakers and water rights. Corporate power is literally and in every possible way killing us all. It says Nestle has been doing this in California for years, even taking more than what they were authorized and only getting a slap on the wrist. Predicted years ago, water has always been a more precious part of life. Why do y'all think indigenous had water protectors? Another one says, these towns need to pass an ordinance that makes their water a public good, unable to be profited from. Another one says, I recommend reading The Water Knife, a dystopian novel that is exactly this. Why does everything have to be private, Private capital, private property, this stuff was here before we got here. It'll be here after we're gone. It's like communal thing. Like, who owns the earth? Can somebody buy the whole earth? They had enough money? Like, it's ridiculous when you really think about it. Water should be for everyone. Should not be privatized. Another comment that says, Mad Max Fury Road coming to real life near you. Another one, in 2021, water started being traded on the stock market as a commodity. Crazy freaking world we're in, bro. How did we get here? I guess this kind of goes with what I said earlier about the damn executives not really doing anything. This one, it says pharmaceutical giant Bayer is getting rid of bosses and asking staff to self-organize to save $2.15 billion. They basically said increasingly we can't get anything done. In a bid to claw back $2.15 billion, the struggling pharmaceutical giant Bayer CEO is doing away with middle managers and 99% of the company's 1,362-page corporate handbook, allowing nearly 100,000 employees to self-manage. Bayer, the 160-year-old German company known for inventing aspirin, has been stuck in a rut. Its market cap has plunged to two-decade lows, spurred by its so far disastrous acquisition of Monsanto, and its CEO, Bill Anders, believes that flattening hierarchy and slashing corporate bureaucracy could be key to turning it around. Yeah, I remember when Bayer and Monsanto came together. So crazy that you can have like a like agricultural. It's the Food and Drug Administration. So it's like the drugs and the food owned by the same people. Like, what could go wrong? And then they're too big. Monsanto is ridiculously big. Bayer is ridiculously big. I remember talking about this when it was happening. Like, that's the problem, you know? It's these conglomerates, it's these monopolies. They need to be busted up. Screw them. I hope they freaking go out of business. Anyways, I think I might get out of here. I'm tired. Peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. I'm out.